Welcome, crypto fam, to another one daily Bitcoin pod. As you can see, Bitcoin correcting back in the red. We just declined under 80,000 in today's show. I'll be breaking down the latest Bitcoin technical analysis and quoting the high priest of Bitcoin, Max Kaiser. The world is beginning to understand that Bitcoin is really going to be the world reserve currency. We'll also be discussing Atkins becomes the next SEC chairman, but what's next for the crypto industry? We'll also be discussing top Bitcoin miners produced nearly $800 million worth of Bitcoin just in the first quarter of 2025, as well as tokenized gold volume hits 1 billion for the first time since 2023, U.S. banking crisis. We'll also be discussing Bitwise doubling down on a 200,000 bitty price target amid the ongoing trade tension. Also breaking news, Florida takes a bold step to add Bitcoin to their state treasury reserve. That's right, the state of Florida is to buy up to $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin if this bill is passed. No one is bullish enough. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. If you're new to the channel, important, smash the likes, go ahead, subscribe, ring that bell, turn on all notifications. That way you receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, 7 days a week. Today is pod number 1959. I'm your host, JV. It's April 10th, 2025. Yesterday, we had a hell of a pump, but today we have corrected thus far, trading below 80,000 at the time of the live stream. Let's kick it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day. Yesterday, everything was in the green. Today, everything's virtually back in the red. Bitcoin maintaining just above 79.9 at the time of the live, down 2.5% on the day. Ether is a big loser, down 6%, barely trading above 15 hundo. And Leo and Tron amongst a few actually in the green here today. And checking out CoinMarketCap.com. The current crypto market cap is coming in at 2.5 trillion. So we are down. We also had a Bitcoin market cap down to 1.58 trillion, roughly 115 billion worth of volume over the past 24 hours, so down 33% on the day. And the Bitcoin dominance has been maintaining at 62.5%. Ether dominance is all the way down to 7.2%, virtually the lowest I've seen it in several years, the lowest price action we have seen. Not looking good for ETH holders. Vitalik, what it do, broski? And checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours, we got Onyx Coin leading the pack. Dun 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 dun. Let the boys be boys. And we have AB up 5%, followed by Pax Gold up barely 3%, 2.5% on the day. But let me know which alt, if any, you're bullish on for the bull. Highlight your motherfucking boy. And checking out the crypto bubbles, we get a visual perspective on the day. Unfortunately, I mean, yesterday was nice, you just saw, but we just updated. Now everything's back in a red. I'd say 95.5 red over green. And zooming out on the weekly, I'd say 80-20 red over green. And zooming out on the monthly, yikes. Very similar scenario, maybe 85 red, 15% green. You can see Trump coin down 26%, Monero down 5%, Hex down 41%, only a handful in the green, including the infamous fart coin. And checking out the crypto greed and fear index. Silver lining was yesterday, we were very low in extreme fear, and we typically get a nice little bounce from then, and we did, but we've dipped since. Today we're back 39 fear, yesterday 18, last week 25, and last month of 24 in extreme fear. And checking out the time chain calendar. We're currently on block number 158,200. I'm sorry, we have 158,200 blocks to the next halving. We're on block number 891,800. And you can currently exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 1,251 sats. The other day we saw it as high as 1,400, but we have recovered a lot since we hit the bottom of roughly 74 in that range. So today we can get 1,251 sats per dollar. So stack the sats, put down the gats, and pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. If you don't know, now you know. Let's dive into our TA, aka astrology for the broskies. And you should be able to see my screen here in a second. One moment. Headline here reads, crypto trading firm warns of classic bull trap as Bitcoin tags 82.7. Again, yesterday was nice. We had a nice recovery from 74, reclaiming 83, but we're currently correcting once again. I also want to share the latest from quant analyst Plan B. He says Bitcoin correction normal, bull market dip after the 30% drop for the king crypto. And also quoting the high priest of Bitcoin, Max Kaiser, the world is beginning to understand that Bitcoin is really going to be the world reserve currency. Let me know if you agree, disagree with the high priest. And once that comes into fruition, how do you think that will impact the pretty little bitty price going up forever, Laura? You let me know your thoughts. But I want to dive into a little deeper what Plan B had to share. This anonymous analyst shared with his followers that the indicators he watches are still signaling bullishness for the king crypto. Quoting Plan B, even with today's low Bitcoin prices, my on-chain indicators still signal bull market. So in my opinion, this is a normal bull market dip and not a transition from the bull phase to the distribution phase, which is then the bear phase. And you can see here, as per the stock to flow model, Plan B's color-coded dot chart indicates the number of months until each halving. When the Bitcoin miner rewards get cut in half, we had the last halving in April of last year, with the red dots representing the beginning of the halving cycles. In the recent video update he shared, he said there's a combination of the 200-week, meaning suggesting Bitcoin may soon enter an explosive uptrend based on historical precedent. The analyst says the 200-week arithmetic and the 200-week geometric are currently running close together on the chart, signaling a possible pretty-little bitty breakout. Quoting him here, it might be that the bull market is still forming and that the arithmetic mean will separate again, will diverge again from the geometric mean. One more thing on those two lines, notice that you can't have a bear market or a big crash when the 200-week and the geometric mean are together. The big crashes here in 2021 and 2022 are happening when there is a diversion between the two lines. Also here in 2018, there is a big gap between the two means. Same here in 2014 and 2015. Now, I also want to pull up some of the live charts so we can just take an honest look at where we're at via TradingView, via Coinbase. You should be able to see this on your screen. Unfortunately, we've been descending, but this is just a 10-second chart, so don't take it too serious. Zooming out from here, let's start with the 10-minute, and then we'll work our way backwards. 10-minute chart also shows you we dropped quite a bit here today. You can see red, taking us to this range. But the silver lining, there is a rising wedge formation, as you can see on your screen. But we do have a bear target, unfortunately, in play at 78. Again, we're currently just above 79.5, and we've been dropping here this morning. Zooming out from the 10-minute, we take a look at the hourly chart. And on the hourly chart, we do have a bull target, which is dope. You can see yesterday a big run up, which is reflective here in a massive green candle. The green target on your screen is currently sitting at 88,000, and we have a bear scenario sitting at just shy of 73.5. And zooming out from the hourly, taking a look at the 4-hour chart. And the 4-hour chart says it's going up forever, Laura. As you can see here, again, obvious correction, big rise up on a 4-hour, but another drop right back down. Extreme volatility. We were trading within a $9,000 range yesterday, and in my opinion, expect more extreme volatility ahead. And zooming out a little further, taking a look at the daily, you can see yesterday big green candle formed, which is awesome, and today we've lost about half those gains, but the silver lining is we're still above 79,000. At least we're nowhere near 74. But do you think we'll likely retest that current bottom, or do you think we'll bounce right back? You guys let me know your thoughts. We do have a bull scenario target on the daily sitting at 112, which would take us back to price discovery, which is currently anywhere above 109.3, which is current all-time high we achieved inauguration day in January with the Trumpster. And then we have a couple of bear scenarios. The pinky one here, just shy of 69 G's. Then we have the green bear sitting at 49,000. We also overall formation rising wedge followed by the falling wedge. Zooming out a little further, let's take a look at a weekly, and then we'll take a quick glimpse of the monthly. Weekly silver lining 124 target, cup and handle in play. Obviously, we had a hell of a run up. Leading into January when we hit the all-time high, but we've been dropping and closing bearishly since. Will we recover and close back in the green? I hope so, but we're still early in the week. We got till Sunday to see how we fare. And zooming out from the weekly, we take a look at the monthly. On the monthly chart, let's see what we got here. Past couple of months, we've had bearish candle closes. Unfortunately, we're only 10 days in April and already forming a red candle, but we're still young. We still got another 21 days to go, and you already know that's a blackjack, baby. So you guys let me know your thoughts. Where do you feel the pretty little bitty price cycle will be, at least for this month of April? And asking that question, there's also a poll in the chat. April Bitcoin cycle peak will it be between 80 and 89, 90 and 99, 100 and 109, or a new all-time high, 110,000 and above? Let me know. Next story of the day, we did break down our TA, right? So next story is going to be the new chairman of the SEC. Nipinator's no longer serving the American people in that sense, but he's still going to serve as co-host of the Crypto News Alerts podcast. So it's not all, bad news today. So shout out to the Nipinator, the one and only former chairman of the SEC. But as you can read in the headline, Atkins becomes the new SEC chair. And let's discuss what's next for look at that photo right there. That's a chairman. The crypto industry has welcomed the confirmation of American businessman and former U.S. SEC Commissioner Paul Atkins as the chair of the agency. So Nipinator stepped down. Atkins' approval has taken months. He appeared before the Senate March 27th to explain his intended approach to securities regulation in the U.S., as well as his views on digital assets. Atkins will replace acting chair Nipinator as head of the agency, which began unwinding a number of court cases and enforcement actions against the crypto firms when President Trump took office. However, these actions don't amount to clear guidance just yet. Now that Atkins is ready to take the helm from Nipinator, the blockchain industry is hoping for the guidance they've been wanting for years. So who is Paul Atkins? Have you guys ever heard of him before? Let me know. And what can the industry expect? Here's Cynthia Lummis next to the man. I am pleased Paul Atkins is confirmed as chairman of the SEC. I sat down with Atkins to discuss digital asset legislation, empowering Wyoming's blockchain future, and implementing reforms to the regulatory rulemaking process. I am confident his leadership will bring positive change. Mazel tov. Anyways, an alumnus of Wofford College and Vanderbilt, Atkins has a long career in finance. He initially worked at Davis Polk and Wardwell before serving as the staff of two former chairmen of the SEC from 1990 to 1994. That was the same year Enter the Wu-Tang came out. Notably, under Chairman Richard Breeden, he assisted in efforts to decrease barriers to entry to capital markets for some businesses and middle market companies. After working at the PwC and Coopers and Lieben, Atkins joined the SEC, again as commissioner at the appointment of former President George W. Bush, George W. And as the SEC, Atkins focused on improving financial services compliance with SEC regulations. He worked with law enforcement agencies in cases where investors were harmed. This included the Bennett funding incident, a $1 billion Ponzi scheme. 20,000. I never even heard of that one. Have you guys? Bennett funding. Interesting. And after leaving the role as commissioner, he founded and led Potomac Global Partners, a consultancy for banks and financial services firms, and ahead of the 52-44 confirmation vote, largely along party lines, Atkins faced a grilling from the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. At the hearing, Atkins said the top priority of his tenure as chair would be to provide a firm regulatory foundation for digital assets through a rational, coherent, and principled approach. He said that the current ambiguous and non-existent regulation of digital assets harms innovation in the sector. We can all thank Gary Gensler for that one. More broadly, he claimed that the world industry wants to invest in America, but the current regulatory environment of our financial system inhibits investment and often punishes success. Nailed it there. Congressman Tom Emmer said that Atkins' nomination, it's going to be great, stating that the former chair, Mr. Gensler, under President Biden, set a pretty low bar. Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that one. Emmer said the SEC can soon provide the clarity the industry expects. Quoting him again, "We need stable coins. We need market structure. We need to have clarity and certainty in the system." I mean, so there you have it. Now, while no one has that crystal ball, recent analysis shared from Cointelegraph showed recent dismissals of court cases and enforcement actions may indicate a future direction of the crypto regulation or lack of thereof by the SEC. The dismissal of cases revolving around the unregistered sale and offer of securities under the Securities Act of 1933 and acting unregistered as a broker, dealer, clearing agency, and exchange suggests the SEC may not consider the assets involved as securities. Crypto agenda could be hamstrung by the recent SEC dismissals. One point of friction in Atkins' ascension to SEC chair is the recent spate of dismissals of the SEC staff. The Trump admin efforts to cut certain types of government spending through the temporary committee of Doge have not spread the securities regulator or spared. As reported by Politico in March, a combination of different buyout and dismissal programs will effectively get rid of 10% of the agency's 5,000 strong workforce in the coming months. One source mentioned in the report suggesting that the total could be closer to 15% as layoffs, I guess, will continue. But there you have it, yo. Let me know your thoughts on the new chairman of the SEC, Mr. Paul Atkins. Let me know if you ever heard of him before. Do you trust him? Don't trust them? I'll read your comments out loud. Next story of the day. Regarding gold, headline here reads, top Bitcoin miners. Oh, not gold. Maybe gold was next. Let's see. Tokenized gold. Top Bitcoin miners produced nearly 800 million of Bitcoin in quarter one of 2025. So it looks like I was jumping the gun a little bit, but here we are. You should be able to see on your screen. And then next we'll discuss the gold story. The largest publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies produced nearly 800 million worth of Bitcoin in the first quarter of this year, reflecting continued growth across the sector as Bitcoin prices held near record highs. According to the publicly available data, the top Bitcoin mining companies produced over 9,700 BTC in the first quarter, with Bitcoin trading at 81.6 at the time of this article. Obviously, we've dipped some since then. The total production value was at around 800 million. Marathon Digital, the biggest Bitcoin mining company by market cap, led the pack with 2,285 Bitcoin worth roughly 186 million mined in quarter one. And on April 3rd, Marathon announced it produced 829 BTC in March, up 17% from February and 10.5% higher than in January. And here it compares all the top miners from Marathon, Riot, Bitfarms, Core Scientific, CleanSpark, Brodeur, and Hut 8 is the one recently partnered with the Trump sons, Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, to build the biggest Bitcoin miner in America to mine the Bitty. And you can see a grand total 9,746 BTC, and which was mined there from March, February, and January, quarter one, 2025. CleanSpark followed with 1,950 Bitcoin mined quarter one. The value neared 160 million. CleanSpark's March performance also saw a 13% increase month on month. Iron, formerly known as Iris Energy, produced the third largest amount. For the quarter, the mining firm reported a total of 1,513 BTC, worth 124 million. Its 533 Bitcoin or produced in March was a 16% increase from February. Company's market cap placed Iran as the sixth largest Bitcoin miner by market cap. Then we got Riot Blockchain, which ranks second only to Marathon Digital by market cap, which has the fourth largest Bitcoin production during the quarter. The company reported production of 1,428 Bitcoin worth 117 million during the quarter. And like Iran, Riot produced 533 BTC in March, a 13% increase from February. You can see their market caps right here. Marathon is 4.25 billion, followed by Riot at 2.25 billion, followed by Core Scientific at 2.2 billion, CleanSpark 2 billion, Brodeur 1.69 billion, Iris Energy 1.3, and Hut 8 1.3 billion. Now, speaking of Hut 8, despite producing the least amount of Bitcoin amongst the top miners reviewed, showed the highest growth rate. The company mined 199 BTC in the first quarter, valued at 16 million, including 88 BTC in March, representing 91% increase from the 46 BTC produced in February. Now, on March 31st, as I mentioned earlier, Hut 8 partnered with Trump's sons, Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, launching a new mining venture called American Bitcoin. The project aims to be the world's largest, most efficient, pure-play Bitcoin miner. And in an interview, Hut 8 CEO Asher Ganoot said the company aims to dominate the U.S. Bitcoin mining. Ganoot said the company plans to build one of the largest and most efficient Bitcoin mining platforms rooted in American soil. And if you don't know, now you know. There's the latest with a Bitcoin mine. Here we go. Headline reads, Tokenized gold volume hits 1 billion, first time since 2023. U.S. banking crisis. That's right. Check this out. Tokenized gold trading volume surged to a 2-year high this week, topping 1 billion as investors pivoted towards safe haven assets amid global uncertainty triggered by Trump's import tariffs. The weekly trading volume of tokenized gold surpassed the 1 billion mark for the first time since March of 2023, when a U.S. banking crisis saw a sudden collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, and the voluntary liquidation of Silvergate Bank. Signature Bank was also forced to close operations by New York regulators on March 12th, 2 days after the Silvergate liquidation. Tokenized gold has experienced a significant surge in trading interest since early February, when global trade war fear started spreading to digital markets, according to CEX.io. Yeah, so since Trump's tariff announcement, the first one, January 20th, Paxos gold trading volume surged by over 900%. Tether gold trading rose 300%, and Genesis Gold, I never heard of that one, volume increased by more than 83,000%. Tokenized gold has become one of the best performing crypto categories since Trump's inauguration, surging 21% in market cap and over 1,000% in trading volume, while stablecoins saw an 8% market cap increase and a 285% trading volume expansion during the same period. Tokenized gold is part of the growing real-world asset tokenization sector, which refers to financial products and tangible assets such as real estate and fine art minted on the blockchain. The surge in tokenized gold coincides with a record-setting performance in physical gold. On March 31st, gold hit an all-time high of $3,100 per ounce and was trading above $3,118 at the time this article was published. Since the beginning of 2025, the price of gold has risen over 18%, outperforming Bitcoin, which has fallen by more than 12% year to date. Gold's robust price performance after the key tariff-related events highlights a growing appetite for safe haven assets, according to Ilya, lead analyst over at CEX.io. However, tokenized gold remains far from being a physical gold competitor at the current stage of the RWA development. According to the analyst who shared, tokenized gold presents a compelling alternative for crypto native investors who might otherwise look to Bitcoin or stablecoins. In this context, tokenized gold has primarily served as a diversification tool, gaining increasing traction in investor portfolios as market uncertainty deepens. Geopolitical trade tensions caused by Trump's import tariffs have inspired a flight to safety amongst investors, specifically towards stablecoins and tokenized assets. Following the 2023 banking crisis, the Fed created the Bank Term Funding Program, offering banking loans of up to a year in return for posting qualifying assets as collateral. This emergency measure was what started the Bitcoin bull run in 2023, according to the BitMEX co-founder, Just Blaze, Arthur Hayes. And if you don't know, now you know. Next story of the day, let's discuss the $200,000 target from Matt Hougan. That's right. Institutional crypto investment firm Bitwise doubles down on its Bitcoin price prediction for the year, despite escalating global trade tensions. He says in December, Bitwise predicted Bitcoin would end the year at 200,000. He says, I still think that is in play. Matt Hougan suggests the fallout from President Trump's global tariff push would be beneficial for Bitcoin and crypto because his administration wants a weaker dollar, even if it means ending its role as the world's reserve currency, in which BlackRock CEO Larry Fink was sharing. We covered that in the pod. I don't remember if that was earlier this week or last week, but he's like, dollar may lose its world reserve currency status to Bitcoin. And Max is also predicting that as well. Hougan cited an April 7th speech by Steve Moran, chairman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors, which criticized the dollar's reserve status as causing persistent currency distortions and unsustainable trade deficits that have decimated U.S. manufacturing. Hougan said a weaker greenback could have both short-term and long-term implications for Bitcoin, and the short-term dollar weakness historically correlates with the Bitcoin strength. Quoting him here, dollar down equals Bitcoin up. That's what's up. I expect this pattern will continue. G's up, hoes down, quoting the great Snoop Dogg. The DXY, which compares the value of the US dollar to a basket of the 6 major currencies, has fallen more than 7% since the beginning of the year. And in long term, Hougan said the disruption of the global reserve currency system creates opportunities for alternative reserve assets, including Bitcoin and gold, as shared here. Governments and companies turn to the dollar for international trade precisely because of its stability. When that stability comes into question, then they have to look elsewhere. The Bitwise executive concluded that the world will move from a single reserve currency to a more fractured reserve system, with hard money like Bitcoin and gold playing a bigger role than it does today. And then earlier in the week, Van Eck said that China and Russia were reportedly settling some energy trades in Bitcoin. In fact, there was our featured story in yesterday's pod. If you missed it, be sure to check it out. We also shared the latest from Kaiser predicting a gold-backed stablecoin being embraced by China and Russia, as well as the de-dollarization continues around the world. And on April 9th, Trump issued a 90-day pause on nearly all of his earlier announced reciprocal tariffs, keeping a baseline 10% tariff of all countries besides China, which he lumped with a 125% tariff. Meanwhile, William Clemente said on X that Bitcoin will be the fastest horse coming out of the drawdown. It's pure reflection of liquidity and no earnings. If anything, economic uncertainty, deglobalization are positive for the preload biddy going up. Forever Laura. Bitcoin up 7.5% over the past 24 hours. That was at around 82. Again, we're correcting currently, but it is what it is. The all-time high was reached back on Jan 20th. Ironic inauguration day. It's been downhill since. We did get a correction probably of roughly 35%. If we were to correct 45%, we can retest the $60,000 levels, fam. Now for our feature story of the day, fam. Florida takes bold step to add Bitcoin to their state treasury reserve. Let's go, Florida. Now, I was raised in Florida from 6th grade onwards, so this is my old stomping grounds right here. My family's in Florida. And as you can see in this headline, posted by Vivek, state of Florida to buy up to $1.5 billion in Bitcoin if the bill is passed. So that's the key. The bill has not been passed yet. So that's the caveat. No one is bullish enough. Now here's the actual bill. It's called SB 550, Investments of Public Funds into Bitcoin. Let's go, Florida. Who's going to win the race for the biddy adoption? Will it be Florida? Will it be, what are the other states? Texas we have in there. Utah, Wyoming. I think there's now 30 or so states looking to embrace Bitcoin some way, somehow. Let's start with some of the key takeaways. Florida Senate Bill 487 proposes allowing the state treasury to hold part of its reserves in the preload biddy going up forever, Laura. The bill will be subject to a first public hearing April 10th. That's today. If passed, Florida will be the first U.S. state to directly invest in Bitcoin. Come on now. The bill is a part of a broader initiative to explore blockchain and digital asset innovation in the government. Florida is set to become a potential leader in the public sector adoption of crypto. Republican Senator Jason Brodeur, Senate Bill 487, seeks to enable the state government to invest part of its reserve money in Bitcoin. The bill is meant to enable the Department of Financial Services to consider and put in place a plan for the purchase and holding of Bitcoin as a treasury asset. This legislative move places Florida ahead of the state level crypto adoption, potentially setting a precedent for the other U.S. states. Let's go. Will Florida be first, fam? You guys let me know your thoughts. Pivotal intent of the bill. Senate Bill 487 identifies an explicit list of purposes. Here you go. Empower Florida to include other stores of value as part of the Treasury management strategy. Number 2, empower the state to be a part of the digital asset economy through owning Bitcoin as a long-term holding. Hallowed be thy name. And number 3, foster financial sovereignty and diversification during increasing inflation and increasing alarms around and about the U.S. dollar's purchasing capacity. The legislation places a focused and deliberate stride forward. The legislation does not impose immediate Bitcoin acquisition, but allows a window towards conducting a feasibility study, identifying risks, and eventually allocating them subject to adequate oversight and risk protections. Here's the timeline and legislative status. March of 2025, the legislation was first introduced in Florida's Senate power. Then today, literally April 10th, the first public hearing will be held for the bill in the Senate Banking and Issuance Committee. Hopefully that goes positive. And number 3, further negotiating and amending can be expected during the existing legislative session. So assuming the bill continues through the committee scrutiny and on the Senate floor, it can move to the Florida House of Representatives before the last part of 2025. Now for the scope of the Bitcoin holdings and governance framework, the bill is in a draft, does not contain details of the exact percentages or figures yet with respect to what portion or proportion of the reserves of the state would be held in Bitcoin, and it does contain measures to, number 1, formulate guidance on digital asset custody, number 2, instill auditing and transparency protocols, and number 3, cooperate with registered digital asset custodians in order to deliver security and federal standards conformance. The Florida CFO would be asked with overseeing the implementation of any digital asset strategy, including the purchase, safekeeping, and risk management of the pretty little bitty going up forever Laura. Broader policy landscape in Florida. The legislation is fit into a broader policy trend in Florida towards crypto friendliness. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has already signed his support for financial innovation and digital assets. And also Miami, under the previous mayor, Francis Suarez, has been leading the charge in adopting crypto-friendly policies, including in launching Miami Coin. How's that turn out? And Bitcoin conventions. Did Miami Coin ever launch? The state has also sought to create a fintech and blockchain firm regulatory sandbox, which further solidified its vision of becoming a center of digital asset innovations. And now for the possible implications. If the bill is passed and implemented, Florida could become the first U.S. state to actively invest in Bitcoin, validating the idea of Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. Number 2, create the domino effect where the other states, particularly those already exploring blockchain solutions, such as Texas, Wyoming, and Utah, would probably follow, and make it easier for the greater public-private collaboration between the state and crypto custodians or the fintech providers, industry, and public responses. Supporters of Bitcoin have welcomed the bill as a milestone for crypto use in public finance. Critics, including the mainstream economists, caution against using Bitcoin as a sovereign reserve asset due to the volatility and regulatory danger. And number 3, tech and blockchain firms are keeping a closer eye, as the bill's passage would be an early trend of institutional endorsement of the crypto assets. So the million-dollar question is, will that bill pass here today, April 10th? You guys let me know your thoughts. And if it already occurred, do let me know. And welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream. We just discussed the latest Bitcoin adoption as far as the state of Florida. I'm going to read your comments, family. Looks like we got 1,700 people here. And I'm going to stick around for a bonus hour just to chillax and kick it with the fam. And don't forget, this is live and interactive, so let me know where you're tuned in from first and foremost. And feel free to address anything you like. I'll do my best to read comments out loud.